We're looking at the winning Formula C8, aka Dale Earnhardt, aka the Kentucky NSX. This is our C8 development mule. Try to make sure that we have personal hands-on experience with the recommendations that we make to customers, the products that we sell to customers. So we've had a lot of questions about this car. We've had people ask us to do a walk around of the vehicle. I fall into the category of people that hates the sound of my own voice, so this is extremely painful for me. But I want to walk people through the nuance of what we're doing with this car. So we started with a base C8. This car has the Z51 package. Chevy recommends it for track use. We agree with that recommendation. Effectively, the Z51 package gives us some better cooling capability for the car that's not on the base car. A few other upgrades to the chassis, but we replace most of that with aftermarket components. We're mostly interested in the upgraded cooling capacity that the Z51 comes with. You could retrofit that onto a non-Z51 car, but you're going to spend more money than just buying a Z51 car to start with. We chose to start with a base car over a Z06 because we felt like this car represented an extreme value. The base C8 compared to other sports cars in the market that we looked at, we just didn't think you could compete lap time per dollar with what this car offered. The Z06 starts touching into some Porsche territory that we already service a number of vehicles in. And we felt like we wanted something that was in between the Porsche vehicles we service and the Mazda vehicles we service. So some people will know us at the Winning Formula for our work with Miatas, some people will know us for our work with Porsches, and we're always trying to do the next thing, and we're trying to develop new experiences. Sometimes what we learn with a Porsche, we can apply to a Corvette. What we learn with a Miata, we can apply to a Porsche. And so having more diverse experiences keeps us interested, the personnel at the shop, but it also, we think, makes us better at serving all of our customers, not just the Corvette customers or the Miata customers or the Porsche customers. So anyways, this is a base C8. Our goal with this car was to match or exceed the performance of a GT4. We have a lot of GT4 customers. They were $80,000 cars in 2016. And then they were $90,000 cars, and then they were $120,000 cars, and now they're $140,000 cars. And at some point, it's just not fun anymore. And so we said, what can replace the GT4? Well, that's a hard thing to replace. It's a fantastic car. These are $70,000, call it $75,000 out the door for a car like this from the Chevy dealer. And the goal was, can we go faster than a GT4? That wasn't very difficult to do. Cliff notes, disappointingly easy, you might say. Like, we started with a base car because it was such a value, and now we've gotten to a point where everybody just assumes it's the $140,000 Z06 when it's just $70,000 base car. So we did a package from Apex. It's a 10.5 VS5 RS on the front. We run an 18-inch front, 19-inch rear. That gets us the aspect ratio stagger that we want with the car. It's a 275 tire in the front, a 325 in the rear. We chose to go ahead pretty early on and upgrade the brakes. So we put a AP Racing Pro 5000 caliper on it. It uses an inch-thick pad. With past generations of the Corvette, we'd had a lot of brake wear, and we were changing pads pretty routinely. The C8s with the Z51 package are a lot better about brake wear, so this brake package is by no means necessary, but it is a nice option. It looks pretty, and you really don't have to think about your brake pads, especially big tracks like Road America, where you're going through a lot of brakes, some serious braking events every lap. An inch-thick brake pad is a nice security. We sometimes say that the most important safety item on your car is the brakes. And so it's not a bad place to overinvest, but by no means necessary. We consider it optional. It's a great package. We've got them on the front and rear because we're nerds and we like those things to match. And then we upgraded the shocks on the car very early on. The base cars come with really soft springs, so like 200 pounds per inch in the front, 280 pounds per inch in the back. It's a lot to manage a 3,600 pound car with that spring on it. And so very quickly we changed the shocks out. We have an MCS two-way shock on it. We've done a variety of spring rates on that. Spring rates that we try to kind of mimic the Z06 with in the road friendliness of it. Felt like the Z06 was a good guideline on that. We know Chevy thinks that this is a road appropriate spring rate. Let's kind of play off of that and see if we can develop a package for the base cars that's similar. This car has a little bit stiffer spring package on it, but I still have yet to put it on a trailer, meaning every track event it's been to, I've driven it to and from the track, and I think it's probably been on track like 20 days now. 10,000 miles between road and track use over the last year. So the wheels and tires were a huge upgrade, big performance there, obviously. The shocks were a huge change in the car. I didn't consider the car that fun to drive on the stock shocks. The car was fun to drive with just the wheels and tires and the shock upgrades. From there, it's like, let's really make this thing fast and see what we can do. Can we go pick on Z06s with this car? Can we pick on GT3s? We've already passed Porsche GT4s with just the shock and tire upgrade, and that's when we reached out to the guys at Veris and asked them to do an aero package for the car and see if we could get a little more out of it. Eric from Veris worked with us to develop this splitter on the car. Also a wing that not only performs, but we think suits the body lines of the Corvette. The proportions of these cars, you can love them or hate them, but I don't think anybody can deny that there's a fair bit of heft back here and it doesn't need any excess attention drawn to it. And so we wanted a wing that sort of played with the silhouette of the car. So the entire C8 just kind of slopes forward, has this very aggressive forward posture. And we wanted the wing to sort of accentuate and complement that, and then obviously make the car faster in the act. And not only did we get a lot of lap time out of the wing and splitter upgrades, the car's easier to drive. So that's an important thing too. As we're going faster, we want the car to be getting easier to extract lap time out of, and aero is one of the best things for accomplishing those two goals simultaneously. The final thing that we paid attention to when we were upgrading the car was weight. The cars start pretty heavy. They carry that weight, I think, really well, but we want to make sure that we're not adding a lot of weight to the car as we upgrade it. And so the wheels and tires are around 30 pounds lighter than the factory equipment. The brakes are around 30 pounds lighter than the factory equipment. The shocks are about the same weight, I think only 3 pounds lighter if I recall our measurements. But the biggest places we took weight out of the car were the seats and the exhaust. So we added a pair of Recaro podium seats. These are 13 pounds, but by the time we add the mounting bases, they get to about 20 pounds. The factory seats are around 60 pounds. So each seat shaves 40 pounds out of the car for a collective 80 pounds. And then on the back of the car, we've changed out the factory muffler for a Paragon Performance track exhaust. I still think the car is comfortable to drive on the street with it. It definitely lets you know it's there. It cracks and burbles. But this exhaust is 40 pounds lighter than the factory exhaust as well. So we've got 120 pounds out there on top of the 60 pounds that we got out of wheels and tires. And then the Veris components are very lightweight, especially the wing. We didn't add much weight back there. And then the splitter's got a little more heft to it since it's flying low and it's kind of in the line of fire on the front of the car. But even at that, our still net loss of weight is about 180 pounds over the factory car.